Running Sentences presents a short story. A seating arrangement. A married couple argue over the Thanksgiving seating arrangements that they have to make. Who sits where is terribly important when one wants to avoid certain relatives next to one another. This story is written and narrated by Michael Honnery. It is a work of fiction. Any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations within this story are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, and/or fictional businesses, characters, situations, and/or events, and/or similar is purely coincidental. Copyright 2023, Michael Honnery. All rights reserved. Darla stared at the long table that they'd finished putting together just a few moments ago. It was enough for 12 people to sit somewhat comfortably near one another, but they would have to squeeze a bit. That, however, was never a good thing with her relatives, as she bit her lip, studying it once again. "Is something wrong, dear?" Reynolds asked her. How well Thanksgiving is going to go, with everyone having their opinions on matter, is bothering me. Well, we can't control what they do or say, just where they sit, and even that they might choose to try and change things. They can choose whatever seat they want and start arguments over it, I suppose. I will not let that happen, Reynolds, not after the Easter my family had. She winced at the memory of a minor food fight that had broken out. A few bread rolls and mashed potatoes had decided flying through the air was the best thing for them, courtesy of her aunts and uncles, egged on by a few nephews. She'd been hit by both, even though she'd said and done nothing to deserve it, as well as her husband, who was now gently trying to get around the table to wrap a worried arm around her as he saw the expression she was giving off. No, of course not. We will direct them to the right spots for them. It is a question of who goes where. He hadn't gotten around the table, and she waved him off. I don't think that's even possible. We don't know if we don't try. The dining room and the table sit before us, waiting for us to put people in seats. Where would you like the first person to go, or group to go, and do they need to be next to someone or avoid someone? She walked her side of the table, studying it for a moment, and then coming to a stop near the end of it, which was in a corner. Is it okay if we place ourselves first? I don't mind, but we're also the firefighters of this group, trying to extinguish any flames before they get out of control. So we might want to consider putting us down in spots once the rest of the table is more formed. Right, never simple, is it? Alrighty, well, let's set down Aunt Judy and Uncle Tim over here in the corner where I am. Those are the two who aren't big talkers, right? Darla nodded yes, and she moved towards the next set of chairs. We also may need them to act as blocks for discussions, and they also hate to be split apart, so we'll have to be careful with where they put them, but off to the corner might be best. Right, so for now, they're in the corner space next to the far end of the head of the table. So who is next? The hippies, my cousin Greg and cousin Albert. Perhaps we could invite them early to smoke out the house with weed, and when everyone comes over, they'll soon be high and too mellow to really argue over anything. She looked doubtfully over at her husband. Not everyone reacts the same way to weed. It can make some flip out, like alcohol or other narcotics do. A nice idea that won't work, though. We should split them up, otherwise that is all they will talk about, is weed and drugs. And will they be okay next to anyone, or should we have certain spots that they should avoid for them? Well, we should worry about everyone, since they all like to have their opinions known and heard, except for, Judy and Tim. And your grandfather, right? You said he always kept the calm and refused to let anyone get out of line. There was another look at him from across the table that said he should know better. For his part, he couldn't figure out the look or what it meant. He passed away at the beginning of the year, remember? Reynolds opened his mouth and shut it again, and did everything in his power to find the right words. I forgot, and I am so sorry I forgot. I was out that week, then, I couldn't attend the funeral, that's right. Don't worry, a lot has happened this year, and our lives would be a whole lot simpler with him around. Anyway, we will assign one of the hippies to this side of the table and one to the other side, okay? Balancing them out, which leaves us with 6 seats left, I suppose. Yes, once we sit ourselves, and the troublemakers and the whole lot of them, with their opinions, are all that are left. Well, who do you want to start with? Your other aunt, the one who believes the world is a giant conspiracy, or her ex-husband who believes the world is out to get him? Why do they both get invited, by the way? There's not much difference between them, and they always like to talk about whatever they want. They're well-liked, I guess. I don't know. They just come as a pair, even though they're not married anymore. They think they're still a couple, maybe. Nobody ever clarified what they are, to me. And there's no way to disinvite them, right? No. Okay, so we know enough not to put them next to one another, because that'll probably lead to fireworks. Yeah, one on my side and one on your side of the table, at the far ends, but not on the ends. We don't want them trying to command the conversation. Well, that leaves 4 seats left and 6 spots with us in there. It gets even more complicated. I did manage to black out how bad those 4 were during Easter. Namely, I got hit with something in the head hard and aimed by them. And I remember a hospital visit, but not much else. Well, those 4 will argue about everything and anything in contrarian manner and use whatever means they have to be right. Always to be right. I think I still have a bump on my head from that. No matter where we put them, they will start shit, and I don't think you want to be next to them. Alright, yeah, no. Is there any way not to invite them either? They will come anyway. They stood across from one another, both letting out exasperated sighs. What about canceling the party? You can't cancel Thanksgiving, and like I said, they would probably show up anyway. Then there is only one thing we can do. How do tell? What can make everyone get together and get along with one another? We invite everyone here and go on vacation somewhere else. They can make Thanksgiving here and argue all they want without us. And what about the quiet ones who don't want to deal with all of the mess either? There was a pause as he considered this. Maybe they can come with us. That won't work, and the others might try and follow us. There is no escape. Never say that. We will escape in an impossible situation when no one really wants to be here. Let's just cancel it and say we don't want to host anyone who doesn't want to be nice to one another. All she could do was shake her head no. They'd say they'd cooperate and then go back to their ways in a few minutes once they were here. And because of that, we can't host Thanksgiving. They won't be nice, and we only want to celebrate happy family and not whatever it is they want to talk about. It's simple. We cancel. You're just out here to start arguments when we call them and tell them this. Sure, I'll start all of the arguments, and you will be free and clear of it. I'll handle it all. You sit there and relax for once instead of worry about the endless drama your family seems to bring. This should only take a few minutes. She looked up confused as he had charged out of the dining room, his phone already in hand, and Darla found herself only able to sit down. Time would slip by and she lost track of it, waiting for him to return. He eventually did, looking a bit worn and weary, but triumphant. All done. We are free. Are we? They may complain about, yes, for the most part. All we need to do to make sure that all of this goes away is to be somewhere else, to be on the safe side. This isn't going to work. Oh, don't worry about whether it works or not. Enjoy your free time and relax for once. You've earned that. And I, of course, will take all of the blame. It's all my fault. And that's all you have to say before running off on a vacation for Thanksgiving. She shook her head no, but accepted it since it was nice to be free of the burden, at least for a few minutes. End of the short story, A Seating Arrangement. Thank you for listening.